Greetings and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. I'm going to be doing an unboxing today, or a first look as I call them, and it is Broken Logic. This is an expansion for A Long Road. It is designed by Mark H. Walker and published by Flying Pig Games. So A Long Road, I've done video on that game. You can check it out here on the channel if you wish to see the base game and the Fatherland expansion. But this is going to be about the new expansion that just came out. It was a crowd-funded Kickstarter and just arrived. So I am going to break into it here and take a look at it and see what it has. Now, this is the, of course, back of the box. It is the summer of 1985, and the British 1st Armored Division surges into West Germany to blunt a Soviet breakthrough. What begins as a counterattack against tanks and infantry spirals into something far more terrifying. Now, if you're not familiar with A Long Road, it is World War III with a paranormal twist. That Mark Walker created a kind of his own universe with some not only alternate history but also some horror elements to it. So this is right in that same thing. The main thing is it introduces the British for one thing, but it also introduces some new paranormal stuff on the other side, shall we say. So inside here we've got a 17 by 22 inch geomorphic map, 4 counter sheets featuring British tanks, Soviet battle walkers. There's one of those things I just mentioned. Supernatural champions, reborn infantry, and more. 27 powerful action cards. They include Necro Rush, Repulsor Field, and Time Reversal. Full color rule and scenario book, tarot-sized champion and battle walker cards. A bonus fiction chapbook from the Dark War universe. Mark, I believe, has written 2 Dark War books. I read them both. Pretty entertaining stuff. And a sturdy box to contain the madness. Now, I realize this is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but it is kind of a mashup of your traditional Hex Encounter war game with, supernatural elements. And it's a lot of fun, at the very least. And there is, this is based on the Platoon Commander system, so there is a lot of war gamey goodness in there as well. Are the cards that we just heard about. You've got the Devastator here, and equipped with both a high velocity 125 millimeter cannon and a 30 millimeter autocannon. The Devastator is deadly to both tank and soldier. That's the back of the card. Kind of cool. Some black cubes. These are your regular sized cards, your action deck, basically. And so you can see one of the characters here, as well as this side of the card, which is the action card. This has a rally action on it, as you can plainly see there. Then we have our bag of dice, various colorations going on here. Then here is the chap book, which is actually pretty thick. I was kind of expecting something kind of small, but this sucker runs 85 pages, well, 84, I guess. But yeah, I'll be reading this. I read the Dark War novels, as I mentioned, and I enjoyed them. So here is the rules and scenario book. We'll take a look at this before we get into the nitty gritty with the components. So here's our table of contents. Runs about 12 pages or so. Error bookmark not defined. Okay. Broken Logic, right? It picks up with 14, section 14, the British. Then you've got 15, which will be Regiment EX, that I believe is Soviet. Then Regiment EX Champions and General Long Road rule changes, additions, options, etc. Abilities, Death Battalion action cards, credits, the scenarios start on page 11. So 11 pages of new stuff, then the scenarios. And you can see some of the champions here. Well, let's flip back for a second. So here you have some of the new stuff in here, right? Nice art on the tank there. So you can see some of the action cards, right? The British 7th Armored, known for the British are known for their aggressiveness. Then you've got the Wraith Bane Mortar Mark 1. So that's a spectral annihilator round is what it fires. That's pretty cool. The Striker is a unique platoon. In addition to the anti-tank guided missile vehicles, they also contain spotters that laze the target, directing the ATGM to its prey. Right? Then we've got some heroes here. You've got Father Ryan. He's an Episcopalian priest serving in the British Army, who fights as hard as he prays, and his faith allows him to eliminate raging spirits. Then you have Sergeant Salt, typical British leader of 85. His experience makes him a deadly man in a firefight. And Hamilton is an officer in the Royal British Commandos, although somewhat full of himself. His undeniable charisma inspires all who can hear him speak. Then Champions, the Phantom Sniper, claims to be the reincarnation of famed sniper John Shewack, an Inuit from Rigolet, Labrador, who fought for the British in World War I. That's kind of cool. Then you have Regiment EX. It's an experimental Soviet regiment which was undiscovered prior to the 7th Armored's attack. So 2 battalions, Death Battalion and Stalny Voyny, comprise the regiment. Then you've got Kompania 501. So that's going to be your primary enemy, I'm assuming. So they get their own aid and focus markers and action cards. You've got your Death Battalion, the Stalny Voyny, the Reborn, and the Necro Rush attacks. There, that's the counter for it. And then you got Raging Spirits. That's what Father Ryan can help deal with. Hellhounds, Plague Mortars, Necrotic Plague, the Battle Walkers, Cockpit Hit. Battle Walkers as targets. T-72Z. Okay, that's kind of cool. Twisted Woods. And your champions, you've got Experiment 19, who I think is featured on this card. That looks like him. Same guy. All right, Experiment 19. Zoranov, Chernoborg, Yaroslava, Kolshel the Deathless, Terra Umbra, Rasputina. Then you got the Long Road Rule Changes, Additions, and Options. Inspired Marker, Aircraft Loiter, Multispectral Smoke Dispensers. There's an optional rule as well. The rule is simple: don't use MSS. Okay. Yeah, so that's a good point. We'll get into a lot of this stuff when I actually do gameplay. Heroes, and then new abilities: Iron Resolve, Boom Risk, Deathless, Ghost Buster, Spirit Control, Gateway to the Abyss, Healer, Psychic, Spook, Ethereal Being, Suicidal, Triple A or Anti-Aircraft Artillery, Tornadic Impact, Tough, Frenzied, Wooden Missiles, Necrotic Plague, and Ripple Fire. Then the action cards for your Death Battalion. And then we get into our scenarios. These are the scenarios, although they are not a campaign per se. They do follow a semi-logical path from the front to the back of the book. Here are a few things to keep in mind. Unless noted otherwise, half hex is always in play. Each scenario delineates whether the stream river is a stream or a river. The side controls any hex in which it could set up. The side that has a combat unit in a hex or was the last side to pass a unit through the hex controls it. Nope, trucks cannot control hexes, neither can raging spirits. Okay, and then you can see there, there's some like narrative background on each of these. And then you get what map it uses and what units are involved, right? As you would expect. Your special scenario rules, how many turns, and any action card related things. So then you have scenario 2, the Battle Walkers. Scenario 3, Dark Woods. 4, Surrounded. 5, The Rift. 6, Everything All at Once. 7, Supervillains. 8, Tag Team. 9 melee, and that is the last one. And then you do have an index and designer notes with a nice little cartoon of Mark there. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to playing this one. All right, then we have our player aids and such in here, as well as our counters, of course, and the map. So sequence of play. This is going to follow fairly standardly, I would assume, the sequence of play from A Long Road. You turn start, right? You handle your action cards, advance to turn, determine initiative, that kind of stuff. Your rally phase, your fire phase, movement phase, assault phase, and then the housekeeping and end phase, and then some helpful reminders for broken logic. On the back, we have unit abilities, so you have a nice little list here of all the abilities. That comes in handy. Then this is your pretty much standard Long Road. Well, it does say V2. You have your fire results table. The combat in this game is fairly straightforward. It involves ranges, as you can see, range color explanations, and you draw cards to determine. Where's that? No, I might be mixing it up. I'm not going to go too deep here before I screw something up. But you do have your range effects, and then the colors of your firing type. So this would be the color of the firing units, fire, and then the range at which they are firing. You can see black is basically adjacent only. So they have to be right next to them. And then these are just the ranges and hexes that you can go out to. Then, of course, there's a close assault table. And then this kind of explains what you've got, right? Your black firepower font, range effects apply. If it has advanced targeting, etc., can move and fire. The orange is a 1-column shift. Blue is a 2-column shift. White box frame cannot fire into adjacent hex. White firepower font, range effects do not apply. This is infantry. Normal range is max range. Your wire guided missile, and so on, right? So all of these here that you would, Morozov, that's the base game. So is Katarina and the zombies. And on the back, you've got your TEC, your good old terrain effects chart. You can see all the various terrain in here and the notes. Now let's look at the counters. There are 4 counter sheets, it looks like. So here you see some of your units, right? Black Eagle, BMPs. So these are, of course, and you can judge by the color, the brown, these are the Soviets, of course. Some rec markers, right? So you can see some of these, obviously Spetsnaz, your T-80s, some more recs. Down here, you've got the Walker-related hits, body, gun, and cockpit. Oh, leg as well. And there are a couple of them, Timberhawk, Punisher, Devastator. They are, of course, double-sided. All right, so this would be the other side. Okay. And here we have some of the purple Soviet units, and include their, the hero types for them, including Experiment 19. You could see some of the abilities on their counters there on the left side. We have an aircraft, the Tornado. There's some Necro Rush, your objective markers, helicopters. These are Germans, I guess. Well, Germans, maybe German. Whitman, Father Ryan, Wraithbane, sorry, Mark 1. Wormhole, more wreck markers, Tornado. Pretty cool. And they do punch out quite easily, as you can see. All right. And you got your moved and fired markers, kind of the standard for this game series. Okay. Then we've got the British infantry, challengers, ethereal cannon, more infantry, various units, scimitars, etc. Trojans, mortars, strikers, Milans. There are our heroes, Lieutenant Baum, Sergeant Salt. There's Hamilton. More chieftains, Phantom Sniper. And the last one, Reborn. I guess these are basically zombies. Hellhounds, Disciples, Twisted Woods. There's the T-72Z. Usurper. All right. Now, last but certainly not least is our map. So let's see what this guy looks like. Zoom out a bit. Okay, so here is our map. Got a couple of towns on here. Well, we got a big one up here. Bischof Evoldshof, Elfschäferdorf, Uge Heuerstadt, and Tannenheim. And Schmied Farm down here, or Schmied Farm. No, Schmied Farm at the bottom here. You got some ridges, some forests, some roads. This, and of course, you do have the maps from the base game as well. So there will be plenty of. This is map E, by the way, as you can see right there. So when it was talking about map B on one of the scenarios in the booklet, that was, of course, from the main game. And yeah, so that is our look at Broken Logic. And like I said, I'm planning on doing gameplay on this very, very soon, probably in March. But I did want to do a first look. I'm like a kid on Christmas. This one I've been waiting for a while. I'm a big fan of the game and looking forward to some new stuff. So look for that in the not too distant future. But for now, we are done here. Quick shout out to my channel members. Once again, I thank you all for your support. For everyone else, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll return to view something else down the road. But while you're here, please consider liking, sharing, hyping, and or subscribing if you're not a subscriber. If you already are, thank you for that as well. But we're done. Until next time, I'm Joe. This is Hexed Encountered, and as always, happy gaming.